Hello, good morning, Cafe Moanings.
Cafe Moanings? Cafe Moanings.
Where did that come from?
Well, maybe you're thinking, I'd like to be in a cafe. We should do one from a cafe.
A Cafe Moaning.
When we used to, at Mentor years ago, we used to do something called the movie cafe show? Or the movie Anyway, we used to film it from the cafe next door. We obviously took it over with a OB unit and we had 2 cameras and it was next door, so we could just hardwire it in.
We should ask a local friendly cafe.
Yeah, if we could do a coffee morning with guests.
With guests?
Ooh, that would be fun. And we could almost, mind you, need someone on camera then, don't you, who's good?
Well, let's just start with just the 2 of us before we have extra cameras.
What, in an affable sort of...
Yeah,
that's a good idea.
In a nice cafe.
Yeah.
And every time we could do a different cafe. And we won't tell people where we were until afterwards so that nobody turns up.
I saw a photograph of Scarborough today. It looked beautiful.
Oh, yeah. I'd like to go to Scarborough. Who's that? So, first of all, before we go any further, I was just over on Instagram and somebody there, was it Ismay, asked me to say, get well soon to her mum, Jean, who's having an operation. So from both of us, get well soon, Jean.
Get well soon, Jean. Get well soon. Yeah. Also, thank you so much for your messages. Obviously, for unforeseen reasons, we couldn't do the Sunday show yesterday, but there will be a sort of Sunday show live of sorts happening tonight. Won't have the papers in it, but they'll have other shindigs and silliness.
And I think Mark should do another TikTok recipe like we did on this curly cooks. Dina wasn't here at the weekend, so we did 1 curly cook and a cock, and it was a disaster.
And this cock can't half deal with a cucumber.
Oh, actually, his cucumber flour was something to behold. So that was on Saturday's Curly Cook. So if you missed that, watch that. But then in the members area, and I know lots of you have got new memberships because lots of our lovely people have treated you to a month's membership. So that's going to happen tonight. We can't quite give you the time yet because we've got some other stuff that we've got to do that we can't exactly...
No more.
Okay, let's get on.
No, because also on the curly cocks, we also made a love letter, sealed with a loving jammy kiss.
Sealed with a loving kiss. Do you remember? Did you ever write "sealed with a loving kiss" on the back of an envelope?
Me and Jane, sorry, we used to write each other letters all the time.
Laura.
Yeah,
Zoe.
Laura. Oh, Laura. I was going to say I didn't ever went out with Laura, did I?
Jane.
Yeah. No, so we would send each other letters all the time. And then it was interesting because if you charted the contents of our letters to each other across our teen years, they became more and more erotic. It was quite exciting.
Oh, anyway, God, I wonder who kicked that off. Who wants to take a bet whether it was Jane or Mark that twisted it into a more erotic letter? She was the one who bore me born and a living heart. Don't forget, she was dark. In a sort of... God, if we've heard about this fucking heart once, we've heard the best present he ever got for Valentine's was an ox's heart, a live one.
And it wasn't live, it wasn't beating. Unless she clutched it.
I have smiled sweetly for 20 years, and then last year I went, and the girls were so funny because they totally backed me up. We'd never discussed Jane's heart before then, but I went, you know what? I've been thinking about this.
Yeah.
What a shit present. Oh. She's gone down the butcher's and got an ox's heart for free and put it in a box. It's disgusting. But your face was a picture because we've all gone with the romance of this for the last 20 years.
And my granddad stopped being a dinosaur and living in the past. Her grandfather had a place in France. So the reason the heart stuck with me was because she bought some French porn as well. France. No. Anyway, so we used to do...
Okay, so what's so different about French porn?
It's fucking classy.
Well, what happens?
They're just it's quite astonishing.
So now she bought you an ox's heart and classy porn. Well, she didn't know you very well, did she? There's nothing classy about your porn tastes.
Oh, listen to this, though. So she would sign off. It would start with sealed with a loving kiss. By the end, it was sealed.
All right, stop. Apple crumble. And I mean it. We don't want to know.
You're enjoying stirring that tea, are we?
I'm putting an end to that particular conversation.
Swalb. No.
Anyway,
okay,
we're not going to have time to talk about what we need to talk about.
Yeah, okay, let's shut the fuck
up. But mind you, I quite like that. This is what's so great about doing a show on YouTube. Something could be going so brilliantly well on television and somebody goes, wrap it up now. We're on 6 minutes. And you think, why don't we just keep talking about it? And then If we knock off the next one, we knock off the next one.
But
you can't. We knock off the next one. We knock off the next one. But you can't do that on telly. But
can't do any knocking off on telly.
I mean, we've had situations on Coffee Moaning, haven't we? We've had 10 news stories lined up, and we don't talk about any of them because we suddenly talked about a grapefruit. Or some such thing.
Anyway, good morning, everyone. I hope you're enjoying listening on podcast. Yeah, you're right. We're 5 minutes in.
It annoys her on telly when that happens, but it's going really well. And it's like, move on.
But everything everywhere on TV is formatted and straitjacketed. You know, everything is kind of controlled. Even ad-libbing and having your own opinions is kind of constrained and controlled by time, if nothing else. Anyway, what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about Sean Diddy or Puff Daddy or Puff Diddy or Sean Diddy Combs. I mean, he's got so many names, this guy. One never knows which one to use. The story keeps popping up. Rapper, hip-hop artist, big in the when was he big? I can't even think of a Puff Daddy song.
I mean, he went out with Jennifer Lopez, didn't he? For a while. Yeah, he did, didn't he, guys?
Tell us a famous Puff Daddy song.
Because I said this the other day, and then
anyway, we're going to talk about his story, some photographs of him looking not too happy, as the swirling accusations and all sorts of speculation on, especially Twitter. Twitter has become an absolute cesspit of conspiracy theories, hasn't it? Really has.
Nuts.
Isla Fisher, Rebel Wilson, Sacha Baron Cohen. Nadia was the one who said perhaps this story has longer legs than we at first thought. Whether it was, I think it was fair to say, was it just a memoir push? But it looks like it could be a bit more than that.
So we still don't know.
We still don't know.
And
we're also going to talk
strenuously denies everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And my God, he'll send all sorts of PR people and kind of crisis management people around if you suggest anything else. Solar eclipse in America. I want to have a little bit of a nostalgic chat about remembering solar eclipses. And we're going to talk about...
I can't remember remembering some.
Don't worry.
Oh,
you're going to remember.
Oh, I remember. The one at your nan's.
Remember.
Yeah.
No, I don't remember that one.
Oh,
no, that was your solar eclipse.
Move on.
We're also going to talk about loafers.
Okay, and move on. No, it's easy.
And we're going to talk about TikTokers and influencers who film themselves in gyms.
I do it very respectfully, and I accidentally included someone in the back. And my gym was actually very good and said, "Oh, you've included somebody in the back." And I was like, "Oh God, sorry, took it down." But anyway, we're going to talk more about that.
Yeah. And what was the other thing we're going to talk about? Yeah, men's loafers, and that's it. And then I've got a very heartwarming clip at the end. Well, heartwarming and a sad clip at the end to go out with. So should we talk about Puff Daddy? Thank you, Reese. You've opened the account here. Let's have a look. Reese gives us some useful context. Hope you're well, Reese. He's been big since the 90s because he's linked with Biggie, rapper, and made Bad Boy Records. He, as a solo artist, probably came into prominence post Biggie's death in 1997. There's a documentary, isn't there, about Biggie's death? With I'll Be Missing You.
Yeah. And he did go out with Jennifer Lopez.
Did he?
Yeah. Look, I mean, that iconic dress, that iconic time. Do you remember?
Yeah.
God, that dress she's so beautiful.
So I'm just going to pop up some photos because we've got some photos here that the Mail are publishing of him looking, now the story broke a couple of weeks ago where two of his homes were essentially given the once over by the FBI, the feds. They often say when the feds are involved, two things are at work. I do quite like this. When the feds are at your door, there are two things at work. They either want to get stuff to get you, or they want to get stuff out to protect other people.
I love the way young people now here call the police feds.
The
police feds.
It's always a line, though, isn't it? But it's a line, so you're the feds.
Yeah.
But when we were young, we used to call them the Rozzers.
Oh, no.
What was that about? Where did
Rozzers come from? Somebody's going to know this.
Yeah, if someone could tell us why we called them the Rozzers. Whenever police cars go past us, I'm driving the girls, go, "It's the Rozzers!" Always makes them laugh.
It's funny.
Because it's very simple.
Trina, she wrote, "My love don't cost a thing" when they were dating. It was for him, apparently.
Oh, my love don't cost a thing. Is that how it goes?
Mark.
Okay. But more seriously, so look, the details and the evolving story around Puff Daddy or Sean Diddy Combs, pivots around a number of accusations surrounding his possible involvement and with sex trafficking, sexual coercion, sexual assault, abuse. Women have come forward suggesting that he forced them to have sex with prostitutes so he could watch them. All sorts of stuff is coming out from various people. Now, I didn't realize this, but when I was looking, you sent the Rolling Stone piece, which kind of charts, there's a piece in the Rolling Stone magazine, which kind of looks at the history of his controversies and all the allegations, which we now can't see because it's now behind a paywall. I've got it on here. But what I noticed was I didn't realize that the phrase Jane Doe isn't a person. I didn't realize this. You know, a Jane Doe is like a generic name for a woman that you don't want to identify.
Yeah, I knew that.
I didn't know that at all. I didn't know John Doe. No, I didn't. I was like, Jane Doe.
I know something you don't know.
No, it's like a John Smith. I didn't realize it was a generic. Yeah. So a number
How could I read that before and now
that's
I can't
really
read it?
strange.
That's so weird. Oh God, that's a shame because we had everything
documented. We had everything documented. But has he been to Epstein Island? Now, as this story was evolving, as the FBI thing came out, as there has been ludicrous amounts of speculation, again, as I say, on Twitter, these are some of the images that have recently been taken of him. Again, looking, the Mail says, looking sort of like he's praying, looking like he's
this is the manipulation of the press, isn't it? Because he may very well have been doing all of that. He might have just been sitting and that was like a moment. Just always remember that a moment caught can tell 1,000 stories, all of which can be a lie. Yeah. But it is quite, What? I mean, look, that's the second, it could be hot.
It could be hot, and he could be praying or he could be clapping. Anyway, so this is him in his sort of previous days. He always, that's how I think of him. Right? Sort of almost looking like a vicar. I
haven't been aware of him for so long.
No, exactly.
But there was a time when he was always...
Now, the reason I've popped up this image of Justin Bieber, a number of clips that have been knocking around online are clearly trying to suggest there's some kind of really kind of disturbing relationship between him and various other young stars, young musicians and what have you.
I hate this sort of stuff though, because it's really conflicting, isn't it? Because on the one hand, you think, is this people that whip up and can read anything into anything? And then on the other hand, is this, those social media sleuths? Yeah. The only reason these days now I feel a little bit more like there is a place for it sometimes is because of this 8-passenger case, which this is the case of the Mormon family where these children were horrifically treated. And actually people online kept saying it, kept being ignored. And actually if they'd been listened to, God, it could have stopped a whole lot of hell. But you have to be so careful with
it's a fine
online
line.
Sleuths.
It's a fine line, isn't it?
It really is.
But when a number of women have come forward, and he's settled some cases out of court, more stories are swirling. I do think it's interesting that a week or so ago there were photographs of Prince Harry Harry at parties with him, and I think there was a little bit of an inference or a suggestion trying to develop where could this be the new Epstein story? Is Harry and his close proximity to Puff Diddy, could this be equivalent to the Andrew Epstein story?
That's true, Reese. I heard that on the radio the other day.
What's this? Let's have a look. Reese. Usher spent a lot of time with Diddy when he was younger and went on Howard Stern and mentioned that he saw a lot and wouldn't let his kids spend time with Diddy. Well, again, Michelle sent an alternative link to the article that should be open.
Thanks, sweetheart.
Thanks, Michelle.
You're so lovely.
Thank you so much.
Need to see you soon.
The interesting thing about these clips is, again, one can never really verify. Some of the clips that have been circulating, if true and if real, are quite disconcerting and quite distressing, specifically around Justin Bieber, which is why, just before you go to that, which is why I've just popped this up, because this is, I've got a couple of stills here from a clip that I've seen elsewhere. A moment where he meets up with Justin Bieber and he's patting and checking him for wires. I mean, it's quite obvious. This was a moment where, if you go and check out the film, it is somewhere, and he's literally...
What, you've seen the actual video?
Yes, I've seen the footage.
But is it joking?
It's quite a serious... I mean, if you had to perform at performance college, acting college, how to find a wire, so it would be like...
Yeah, well, that sounds like it's a joke, though.
No, it wasn't joking.
Oh.
Bieber looks distressed. He looks disconcerted. It's so weird. So there's clearly a lot to this, but isn't it awful that once again this whole mainstream media thing is, what if the FBI are going in there to protect people rather than going in there to, and maybe Puff Diddy's in this, I don't know if that's his correct name, is sitting there kind of, thinking, well, he's got all this muck on all these people, it's dangerous, it's tricky, and I think this is where online sleuthery can either be a good thing or a bad thing. But do you want to?
I think more often it's a bad thing because there, it's very scary, the vigilanteism that can creep into these things. I mean, because I listen to a lot of podcasts now. The danger of this around crimes, people being picked out. I mean, look at that awful situation with that poor woman that drowned. And what the family went through with all these people trampling down there, and I think it is. I think it is dangerous, but this is obviously going to just be a story that goes on and on, isn't it? And people's interest gets piqued, and you can't help it.
I think those people would use private security, not rely on the FBI. I wonder whether the FBI. I don't think it's terrible, isn't it? I mean, we are in a sort of post-truth age where we can't accept or trust anything. And least of all, can you trust anything you see online? I mean, let's look at the Israel-Gaza crisis. So many fake cartoons or images spread around and stories that aren't verified. And you could argue that many of those stories have absolutely generated much of the justification for a lot of the violence that's happened.
Watch Owen Jones's post, I think it was from yesterday or the day before, it's very good.
The pic of Prince Harry with P. Daddy, says Lisa Child, also has William in the background. I mean,
yes, I saw that because they kind of blurred him out, hadn't they?
Did they?
Yes. There was a picture, trying to make out that it was just a Harry thing when William was there too.
Yeah.
I don't know what all that was about.
Anyway, so it's a story that's going to roll.
Bloody
it's
hell,
a story
what with deep fake and Jesus Christ, how can we trust anything anymore? It's so scary, isn't it?
Okay, so that's Sean Diddy. So Rebel Wilson, we talked about her last week. She obviously was talking about how, she didn't directly reference him in her memoir. From what I've heard, just briefly before we move on, she's published a memoir in which the inferences that she's worked with Sacha Baron Cohen and he made her feel uncomfortable and talked about her in a derogatory fashion. One of the issues with this, a number of you guys have contacted from Australia and New Zealand. Should we pull back a bit?
I'm now sat here like the angel Gabriel.
Just pull your chair back a bit. Yeah, and I'll pull this towards us. Just literally pull your stool back. Yeah.
It's a bit embarrassed how big my boobs look today. Is there any way we can move the camera so they don't?
How's that? But then look, you can get your pubes in. All right.
Imagine listening on podcasts.
Well, there you go. How's that?
Well, that's better.
Is it? It was sort of.
Yeah.
I don't remember Chad.
Does
anyone remember Chad? Do you remember Chad? No. With the nose and the fingers. People always used to draw Chad.
No.
You must know Chad.
Or maybe I just didn't care about him, so I haven't remembered him.
I didn't care about him.
Anyway, carry on.
Sorry, I'm just having a flashback to Chad. I can't do that. It's weird. I want to see your boobs. But a number of you guys said that her memoir had been pulled off the shelves or had been made unavailable in Australia and New Zealand.
Yeah.
I think if anyone's there, please let us know. You laughed at Mark's joke there, that's Jane Bentley. So this is the story that Rebel Wilson says that truth will come out as she has revealed that other women have made contact with her since her Sacha Baron Cohen claims. This comes at the same time.
This is going to end up in a big court case, I'm telling you. It really is, isn't it? Because he is very litigious, as she said, and she is not backing down, is she?
No, not at all. She said she found it comforting that people had approached her, and she says that the truth will come out.
I also read an article at the weekend where she said she felt incredibly guilty for not having walked off that job. And she said at the time she went to her agent.
Celeste says this is the case in Australia. Any reason given as to why? Sorry.
It must be because the lawyers
must be litigious.
That she felt guilty about not walking off the job.
Right.
But both her and Sacha had the same agent.
Oh, that's right.
And the agent had said, "Listen, just push through. You'll be okay. And just like if it happens again, then you can walk off." And she said she's felt real guilt about that since when women have contacted her.
Well, and also this comes at the same...
She talks like she has real receipts, but then so does he, so we'll see.
Yes.
We don't know.
Yes, I mean, she does talk... We talked about it last week. She talks about an instance where she was brought into a room and they were sort of rehearsing and he had his mates in there and there wasn't the director and he suggested something about... I think he had his pants down and he said, "If you put your finger up my arse," and all this kind of stuff. It's interesting, isn't it? I was saying to Nadia earlier, and I'm not.
I don't think he had his pants down. Remember, I know I have to keep saying this, but we do. He strenuously denies everything.
But also, just a couple of other details. This also comes at the same week on Saturday Coffee Moaning. Obviously, the news was around and in the papers that Isla Fisher, his wife, they're divorcing. And interestingly, it says here that Isla Fisher contacted divorce lawyers 2 years ago. as she knew the marriage was over then. Now, of course, we don't know if there's a connection between a swirling mass of stories that could be coming up or not. And of course, I think everyone is trying to strike a connection between the two.
I hate the way they say, they've got divorced in secret. Well, no, they didn't get divorced in secret. I'm sure all their friends and family knew, but they didn't put it in the front of the papers. Like when we got married, there was all this stuff. We got married in secret. Well, we were next door in my mum's garden with 150 people, so it wasn't a secret. We just didn't put it in the newspaper.
You didn't need to hack a phone to work that one out, believe me.
It was, and so I'm always really cautious. I mean, everybody loves a good gossip, don't they? Yeah. But we always have to remember these are people's lives as well, and there are children involved, and so they've done the right thing, which is to quietly do their very personal business quietly. But of course, now it's going to be bam, and how can anyone know what pushed them over the edge in the end anyway? Haven't
heard the Joe Lycett story. If you want to give us some meat on the bones on that, Abby Reid. I think I said the other day, I'm not an enormous fan of Joe Lycett, but do tell us. Rebel Wilson said, so this is that story. Rebel Wilson, I think, as you say, it's going to... I was saying to Nadia before this as well, it's curious, isn't it? I always used to quite enjoy Ali G when he was, like you said, when he was holding someone in a position of authority. To account.
Yes, that was funny.
But it was interesting. When you look back and you think of all the shows like Borat and all that sort of stuff, which I've sat and merrily laughed at, and you think of then shows like Little Britain, so much comedy around that time and a lot of the comedians. And I think Matt Lucas and Sacha Baron Cohen are good friends, so there's a lot of crossover in this kind of humour. It was a humour that was about laughing at people.
Do you know what? Matt Lucas is probably one of the nicest people in showbiz I've ever... He is such a sweetheart. Very, very good friends with Rebel Wilson.
Right. Interesting.
They're like brother and sister.
In fact, I think it was Matt Lucas I think he introduced the two of them when they worked, which made them work together.
So they were like brother and sister. They shared a flat and everything. They're just incredibly close. And he's such a lovely person. He's so gentle. You just want to look after him when you meet him. He's such a sweetie.
But
God knows what this is like for him.
No, exactly. It's just interesting that it was a time where comedy was about laughing at those who kind of were different. Think of the whole Kazakhstan thing.
I've never found it. It's really weird. It's never made me laughing at the underdog.
I think it was the shock of it. I think it was the shock of someone actually saying these things. Reese, the comedy style was different back then, more offensive material. I'm sure Joe Lycett's lovely. He's never made me laugh. That's my problem. Okay, let's move on. So let's talk about TikTokers keeping my butt out of your gym videos, please.
Who is this woman?
This woman here is Kiara Brown. I think she's written the article.
Pretty face. Yeah. Sorry.
So what is it? This is the absolute minefield of going into a gym as a man with eyes.
Well, before we do as a man, the article is about how now the trend for influencers filming everything that they're doing in the gym. And I never go to the classes at the gym. I'm always in the gym. But she talks about how she went recently to this yoga class and in New York, and one of the women that was going in with them was somebody that comes up often in her timeline, and she follows and she thinks great and all of this. But then she was horrified that she was just behind her, and she put her camera up. And so she's there looking absolutely gorgeous in full makeup in the best ever gear. Right. And she was in the back sweating her ass off.
Oh, right.
And like thinking, God, could I pop up on her timeline for my ex to see me or my thing or my thing or my thing? And I think that there is something in that. I think it's just like everything, isn't it? Just be mindful of others.
Yes.
I mean, as I said, I once made the mistake of just having somebody in the back because I don't go in and film every single thing I do in the gym, believe you me, but I do film bits and pieces. I love that people say to me, oh my God, I'm so glad that you do it real time, and you're like, sometimes you're doing well, sometimes you're not. And to think that I could like help somebody else get up and get to the gym or do whatever. And I find it funny, and I enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
But I'm incredibly mindful. And our gym was really good because they said, "Oh, you've caught somebody in the back." I was like, "Oh, mortified." And sometimes I've filmed something and it's really good and it's funny or something, or my train's been great, and then I want to go and post. Oh shit, I've got somebody in the back, because it's just good manners.
Yes,
it's good manners, and I think. Gyms are incredibly difficult places. I've got a problem at the moment. I think I've shared this before. I can't stop looking at women's bums, because These leggings, what they do is they've got these like circles around them with this extra stitching so that your bum and I mean some of these women are lifting enormous weights and their bums
are getting a bit strange now.
No, but you do want to have a look.
Right.
But I think that's just human nature. We look at each other. We look at each other's bodies. But to put it on video,
we've talked time and again about the difficulty, the absolute hornet's nest that is the gym for a man, a well-meaning man. I walk up those stairs, and as I get to the top 3 stairs, my eyes only focus on my feet.
He's so sweet. He doesn't look up.
No, which leads to me tripping over every conceivable weight that has been laid around.
He goes, in case somebody thinks I'm looking at them.
Your trainer filmed you doing something the other day, and apparently I was in the back of shot. So I understand that thing of being in the back of shot, the fear, because I said, I bet I look like a right.
Yeah, because it's funny, because I said to my trainer,
God.
Oh, I must post that clip. It's very funny. I said, I'll go this way because it's only Mark. But then afterwards you did. You said to me, oh, God, did I look? Well,
of course, because we're all in a kind of... at this point, we're looking like what we are, which is 50-somethings. Men don't have the joy of gym wear to kind of pull it all in and make it all kind of hang in the right place.
Some of those men have got some very tight stuff going on.
I thought you didn't look.
I don't like it.
No, but here's the thing. The other day, I was there and I looked to the right and I thought, I mustn't look. And what do? What was I looking at? Your bum. And I thought, no. And I thought, it's not allowed. Because if I do that...
If you're seen looking at my bum...
They'll all think I'm a perv. So then I thought, well, I could look at a bum if I then go over and say, no, they'll think I'm assaulting her. It was diabolical. One has to just look down, stay looking down, and just take the
work hard. I mean, the thing is... Yeah, I mean, for me, I wouldn't give a flying banana if I looked like shit in the back of somebody's shot in the gym, because that's the sort of person I am anyway. That's my content.
I look like a flying banana on the running scale.
That's my content. But years ago, I would have, because I felt so vulnerable and so insecure. But now, because I totally accept that the world doesn't stop turning if I've got a roll of fat. I mean, the other day I took my trousers off and put a pair of skinny jeans on.
What, in the gym?
On Friday.
Oh no, I heard. Yeah.
On Friday. And I was in the midst of live television and I thought...
It's an odd place to do it.
My God. If somebody had said to me 30 years ago I would be doing this, I would have said, never in a million years, never in a million. I just felt too...
Good morning, Freya.
I couldn't have...
Hope you're well.
Just... but now so the fuck what?
Catherine McLaughlin says, I hate a knob in a tracksuit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. But it's so difficult. And sometimes you can't help but see, because peripheral vision, you'll pick up, as you rightly say, the astonishing architecture and the tectonic structure of a set of leotards. And you think they must be wanting to be seen in some way, because there's a big sign on it.
Oh, listen. And also, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, because if you're working really hard on your body and feeling really great in the gym, and then that pushes you onto, I don't ever think, oh my God, why is that girl wearing those unbelievably tight, that bra top? I just think, oh my God, didn't she look gorgeous?
I have to confess, the other day I had a situation where it wasn't in, and I'm saying this now, it wasn't in any way salacious or anything, but sometimes you can be in a place, something's happening somewhere else, and you're in a zone, aren't you? You're doing something, you're rhythm, you're zoning, you're spaced out, you're getting that mindful emptiness, you're vacating your head, and then you realize that what's modulating your breathing are the pendulum-like movements of legs on the stair machine.
Or sometimes their bums don't move at all. And you think, my God, that's rock hard muscle. And then you realise it's because you get on a thing that they've been on before and they're lifting 3 times their weight with their bum.
Amazing. Okay.
It's amazing. So does everybody feel the same way? They would hate to be caught in the back of the video.
Lots of people saying it's the couples that train together. They're so in sync with each other, says Lee. We don't. We're never in the same end. We avoid each other like the plague, and then I just look at a bottom. Anyway, shall we move on? Because I've got an appointment in 10 minutes.
Okay.
So just quickly, I want to talk about who likes or loathes loafers on men. Loafers. I'm going to just put it out there. I posted a very funny meme the other day, which said, if your father wore these white, I think they were loafers.
Oh, thank you, Reese. Where will I watch that? SNL says a really funny piece about video about
I'm sure Reese will send it. I posted a really funny meme recently, which were white tasteless loafers, and it said, under the photo, it said, if your father wore these, you definitely have siblings you don't know. Which I thought was hysterical.
Well, let's have a look at them.
Okay, so who's wearing these loafers?
Oh, now there's so many things.
So you tell me the coffee cup near the shoe, the shiny bottom of the shoe.
All right. First of all,
does
anybody like just a quick yes, no? And I want that from men and women. Yes, no. Do you like that?
Equi likes loafers.
Lots of people do, Mark.
Ali P, I really don't like loafers on men. They were great in the 80s, says Dawny, but where they should stay.
Oh, Zoe says they're the biggest ick
I
ever.
find them the biggest. If I was a woman and I saw a man in loafers, I would tear my own larynx out.
I'm now going to say where I can find a loafer acceptable, right?
Right.
And actually might even quite like it.
Do you want to see whose these are before you tell us?
A very, very soft, old, tanned loafer, very old, squished up with a tan abroad.
On who?
On a man.
What sort of man?
Well, he's got off a tan. I'm only looking at his ankles.
An old man?
No, any man.
So
but they've got to be mash up.
It's them being on the table, says Steffi Quinlan, that irks me. Okay, well, you're not going to believe who these belong to. Paul Mescal.
Oh, that's
a weird look.
I don't think you should have agreed to that.
Whose are these?
Oh no, the black with the and I know nothing about fashion and that.
Socks or no socks?
Oh, socks are definitely worse.
But you can't wear loafers. I mean, loafers.
Oh, Mark, please never wear those.
I hate loafers.
I'm actually frightened.
I hate the dangles. They make me fearful. Loafers and toddlers. Loafers and that's our dear lovely Andrew Scott.
We love Andrew Scott so much. I adore him. He's brilliant. But my God, he doesn't dress well.
What about those?
What about that suit he was wearing on the red carpet?
Yeah. Those Paul Rudds.
Why do so many of men?
Why do they make men look like children? Why do men's legs?
What have we noticed so far? All the pictures that we've seen, the rest of the fashions. Oh dear!
Look,
that's a mod.
No, that's Mark Ronson. But look, it looks.
But that's that really silly. Affected sort of fashion victim thing, isn't it? I hate it.
Tassel loafers.
Hate it.
And there's with the chain across the middle with the link.
No one's going to pull me in shoes like that.
Oh, and there's some if you want to buy them.
It would affect me. It would affect
the short
me.
pants. Oh, Steffi Quinlan says Paul Rudd could put his loafers anywhere. Just hideous. Just hideous. Freya, we've just said hello, sweetie. It's a very difficult place for us to kind of embed. Hope you're very well. We did reply to a long message underneath one of the other lives, sending you all our love, Freya. Hope you're well. I know you're going through a really difficult period, and I'm sorry, and sending you all our love, as does everyone else in the community. Absolutely. Sometimes these lives are very tricky scenarios or areas to be able to give. Sometimes, the attention or the significance to obviously what we know is going on.
Nor are we qualified.
No,
either.
Exactly. So Loafers.
Oh, Victoria Moore, son's birthday today. Happy birthday to Victoria Moore's son.
Absolutely. Happy birthday. Also, on that final nostalgic buzz, I just want to share, what are your memories of eclipses? Obviously, it's going to be a total eclipse in America.
Total eclipse
today.
Of the moon, of the sun.
No, it's an eclipse of the sun by the moon, because if the moon was eclipsed by the sun, we'd be dead. The only time I've seen an eclipse of the moon is when you've taken your pants down.
That's the memory I've got of that song, A Total Eclipse of the Sun.
Don't you think doing a Moonie is such a great phrase?
I remember the time we watched an eclipse, and it was at your Nanny Thelma's, and we had the girls with us, and they were so bored because we were waiting for so long.
Well, the hell!
Didn't we have a box with a pinhole?
Hang on a minute. You say there's no boredom like boredom in the theatre. I think there's no bigger disappointment as a child than being told there's an eclipse of the sun, a solar happening, and you're encouraged to do any of these number of things. So that's quite sophisticated. But who remembers doing this? Holding a card up.
Yeah, well, you didn't. Isn't that what you got us doing?
I know, but how was that fun? And you don't see anything.
No, we had something with a small hole.
Hang on, and then we'd all hold cards up. That's what I remember us all doing.
Well, I just remember the terrible fear of going blind.
Well, this is why they got children to put their heads in boxes and watch them.
Oh my God!
That kid in the bottom.
So funny.
Does anyone remember Total Eclipse of the Heart? But for any of those who are in doubt, this was the moment that Donald Trump refused to wear glasses. He went, I'm just going to look at the sun. It's not going to affect me. We need a bigger moon. We need a bigger sun. And this is what happens. I've burnt my eyeballs. Oh my God.
Oh God, babe,
It's a temporary eclipse of my head.
Hearing, don't
Sorry.
forget.
Right, okay.
Bloody hell.
Anyway, I thought a bit of eclipse nostalgia. And finally, as a really bittersweet, I saw this clip and I just thought, oh my God, this is so sweet. This is so sweet. This is an entourage of motorcyclists who honoured the late hairy bikers Dave Myers in a memorial ride. It was shot, I think, on someone's phone. It's not like an officially well-shot thing, but it just gives you a sense of all these thousands of bikers who honoured Dave Myers. They were together. His friends and family of his said he would absolutely adored this.
They know how many there were?
6,000.
6,000?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful.
Is that right? I think they said 6,000.
It's a hell of a lot, Mark. Are you sure?
I think it was. I'm pretty sure I saw somewhere 6,000. I'm sure they did say that. Okay, guys. So just finally on that, we are doing a sort of No Name Sunday show later. I just want to say, just quickly, I just want to say, Freya.
In the members area.
Yeah, in the members area. Freya, I can see you're struggling, sweetie. All I can say, sweetheart, is we are so profoundly unqualified to be able to help other than as a community to distract and for you to be part of. I mean, I know you're going through great trouble. You're making or possibly making, some awful, difficult decisions and choices. And if there's family or any kind of therapy or anyone counselling, Samaritans or anyone you could talk to, I think that would be really good. And that would be, the Samaritans are probably the best stop, Freya. So, it's just really hard.
We have to be really careful. We can't advise because we're just not qualified to. But hopefully, as Mark says, when you come here to this, it's a bit of distraction. That's all that we can do, really, is a bit of distraction because, we would take very seriously, as somebody struggling with anything as serious as you are. So,
And okay, sweetheart. Look, sending you love. And to everyone else, absolutely. Thanks for joining in and all your contributions. And as we say, we will be live later tonight. We will pop on the members area community tab what time that is, a good hour or 2 hours before we know exactly the time.
And we'll put the Samaritans number just under here for anyone that might need it.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Sending you all love. And Stacey Randall, once again, you naughty little...
Naughty!
You're a munchkin. You're an absolute munchkin.
Stacey.
All right.
And so then, is it...
Oh,
sorry, there you go. Stacey has gifted a number of people membership. So we will let you know later what time we're going to go live tonight in the members area. We will be cooking and doing something else. We haven't decided.
And you need to go and have a look at my Instagram feed.
Why?
You might be interested.
What's he done? What have you done?
Well, it's here if you want to.
What have you done, Mark?
I haven't done anything. I've just...
What's he done?
Does anyone here know? Does anyone see?
What's he done?
It's you. It's just you meditating.
People love this. I want to go do that now.
I didn't hear that when I edited it.
Mark! You put that, he's put that on. That is not me. Mark, people liked that post. Have you said that you've put that on? Or are you just letting that go out like that?
Have you noticed I timed it with the ripples?
Your ear.
I timed it with the ripples.
Ear,
okay. All right. If you want to see the